Welcome to the second lecture of Digital Signal Processors and Architectures. Let us see a very brief introduction on some of the things required for the next coming topics. So starting with the discrete time sequences. So let's consider an analog signal x of t, which is represented as a cos 2 pi f t. When we sample this analog signal at t time interval, the signal is represented as x of n, which is actually x of nt, whereas n indicates the instance of sampling where n takes the values of 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So x of nt, the signal becomes a cos 2 pi fnt, which is basically a sampled signal. And as sampling frequency fs can also be written as fs equal to 1 by t, and 2 pi ft can be substituted as theta. The final expression for x of n becomes as a cos 2 pi f nt, which is a cos 2 pi fn. T is written as 1 by fs, and 2 pi ft we can write it as theta. So when you write theta here, it also becomes a cos theta n. Now this theta is basically called as the digital frequency, which is given as 2 pi ft, or we also write it as 2 pi f by fs by substituting 1 by fs for t. This is just a representation of discrete time sequences. So what are basically this DFT and FFT? We don't go into the detailed representation of the DFT and FFT. We just see what is the basic expression required to calculate a discrete Fourier transform and a fast Fourier transform. So when we talk about a DFT, basically DFT is used to transform a time domain sequence x of n, which we have just now seen how it is represented, into a frequency domain sequence, which is given as capital X of k. So whatever the equations that relate these x of n in time domain and x of k in frequency domain, we call it as a DFT pair. And when we see the expression representation, this is how DFT is represented. Like capital X of k is sigma n equal to 0 to n minus 1 x of n into e power minus j 2 pi capital N nk, where k represents 0, 1, and so on, n minus 1. Similarly, if we try to do the inverse discrete Fourier transform, this is the expression which is used to do the conversion from frequency domain to time domain. So when you see what is the relation between a DFT and a frequency response, this basically shows that these expressions, if we see here, we can obtain a DFT, or you can use a DFT to find the frequency response of a discrete signal. So that is the advantage of this, or the relation between DFT and frequency response. So when we talk about the spacing between the elements of x of k, which is represented as delta f, which is given as fs by n, and whereas fs can be written as 1 by t, so this becomes 1 by nt, that is 1 by t naught. When we have DFT, why should we go for the FFT? The difference between DFT and FFT is, DFT is a technique which basically requires more number of complex operations like additions and multiplications. So when it comes to FFT, the number of computations we require to calculate FFT are less than that of required for the DFT. So the algorithms which are used to do the particular operations using the twiddle factor, which is given as e power j 2 pi nk by n, these are called as fast Fourier transform applications. So when we see this number of computations comparison between the DFT and FFT, this table makes it clear that whereas n, if you see what are the number of total samples you have and how many computations you require for the DFT and also you require for the FFT. So when n is 2, the computations here are in the ratio of 4:1. So similarly, if you have them as 4, DFT needs 16 and FFT needs 4 computations. So as the number of samples grow, the number of computations you require for DFT and FFT also grow, whereas the number of computations are very much higher in DFT when we compare it with the FFT. And what is a linear time invariant systems? So basically it shows that the name itself indicates that it's a linear system and also it's a time invariant system. So we say a particular system as a linear system when you have the same input output relationship. The superposition theorem, if it is satisfied, you call it as a linear system, and you have the same input output relationship at all the time instants, then you call it as a time invariant system. So combinedly, the system which satisfies both the properties becomes a LTI system, a linear time invariant system. Linear time invariant systems are basically characterized by impulse response, or we also call it as unit sample response in time domain. Whereas when you talk about its representation in the frequency domain, it requires something called a system function, or we call it generally as a transfer function. So in the frequency domain representation, it requires transfer function representation. So convolution is the one, like if we see here, we have an input x of n, we have an output y of n. The transfer function of the system is represented as h of n, suppose. So the convolution is an operation which basically relates the input and output of a LTI system using the impulse response or unit sample response. So how the output of LTI system is given as, it's a convolution of the impulse response and the input. So y of n is sigma k equal to minus infinity to infinity h of k multiplied by x of n minus k. As we have already discussed, x of n stands for the input of the system, h of k is the impulse response of the system, and y of n is the output of the system. And the Z transform can be used to find the frequency response of the system, whereas x of z expression is given as sigma, the discrete sequence, whatever we have, x of n multiplied by z bar minus n. Like, we are not going to discuss how do you get all these expressions, derivations and all. These are basically the some of the introductory things or the prerequisites which we require so that we can deal with the topics later on smoothly. And the last one we see here is in this lecture is about the system function, or we also call it as a transfer function. So the transfer function characterizes the system in frequency domain, and we can give it as h of z is y of z by x of z. So the magnitude and phase of h of z gives us the frequency response of the system. From the transfer function, we basically can calculate poles and zeros. That is the roots of the numerator and denominator. If we try to calculate, then we'll get the poles and zeros, which will help us in solving the expression. So let's continue in the next lecture.